This is Arif Halaby on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Hey, welcome to the show. Total Financial Solutions, Save for Money Hour. Arif Halaby, Jeff Gerard. You can see a little bit of purple thing going on today. We're happy to be here, talk about your family's finances. Look, a lot of things are changing in the world. We actually had a little bit of a meeting this morning on it, talking about some things. If you, we're going to kind of get a little bit on the I guess check that box. It says, does this apply to me? Well, you can answer that question in just a second. Stay with me because you're gonna follow this, I think, in just a second. Last night, Russia raises interest rates. What? What? This is Santa Clarita. Russia raises interest rates to 17%, right? Ours is about 1%, 1.5%, the Federal Reserve rates. 17%. Price of oil is almost cut in half. That's how they make their money there. Crazy. What does that have to do with you? Well, number one, oil going down. You saw the gas prices. It's nice. Lowest they've been in 6 years or so, 5 or 6 years. You also see a lot of things changing with the market, right? If you have your money in the stock market, your retirement accounts, even if you have a pension, where does the pension put your money? I love when people say, oh, my union, we're against big business. Okay, don't tell anybody, but how you get your pension each and every month, and each and every year, and each and every quarter of your life, whatever, those dollars are put somewhere. They're not locked in a basket or in some drawer of your local bank or credit union. They are invested somewhere with, real estate and stocks and bonds and mutual funds. So that's nice that you receive your pension from the union, but they don't just have it sitting in a box somewhere. You're in this. Everybody's in this together. We're all in this, whether you're on the left side, right side, up or down, we're all in it together. So I share that with you because we're going to get into some more things here this morning or this afternoon, but I want you to follow me because in the financial world, everything is connected. You've got to realize that what's going on in Russia right now, what's going on in Japan, right? Japan just entered a recession. Mm-hmm. Jeff, that's scary. One of the largest economies in the world.
I would say so. I mean, and certainly you can take a look at what we're doing as a country, and there's certainly a whole bunch of financial duress that we talk about on the news every day and problems. But we're still functioning. Yep. But when you hear about other superpowers in the world and their economies are failing or going into recession, I mean, it's got to at least raise an eyebrow over here because the whole world affects each other. Like you're saying, everything financially is connected.
Yeah, and you're going to see time and again, guys, with your family's finances, what is it going to take for you to make it work in your family's world, right? Because you have your own money to invest. How are you going to have these things benefit you and your family?
Well, I think it just goes back and boils down to what does it take for you on a local level? What can you do every single day to make your family's finances better, whether it's short-term, medium-term, or long-term for the future? There are certain things you can do regardless of what's happening in the world, and that's really what we're here to talk about. But certainly keep on your radar some of the things that happen from a global perspective because just because it's 6,000 or 8,000 miles away doesn't mean that it cannot affect you because everything is connected.
Yeah. Today you're going to see, look, what used to happen is a little bit of history for you. What used to happen is Russia would have a problem, historically going back quite a while, except for during the real depths of the Cold War. But Russia would have a problem. They'd call up the United States and we would send them money. Billions of dollars. Under Bill Clinton's administration, I know firsthand knowledge that they had sent $10 billion with a B to Boris Yeltsin to keep the Russian economy from collapsing. It was an overnight, if I remember right, 3 747s landed all throughout Russia, and it's now a fact. I mean, we did the same thing to Mexico, except Mexico was $30 billion. Right, we do that to support because you don't want millions of Mexicans running across the border. Wait, they already do that. You don't want millions of Russians coming into, the other countries, right? Because that's what happens. If you have a country that collapses, the rest of everybody else is coming into your part of the world. Or they destabilize the government. And by the way, guys, Russia has nuclear weapons. That's a big problem. So what happens to your checking account, your retirement, your gas at the pump? Just today, gas prices are lower again. Isn't that exciting? Well, when it does, you've got to keep this in mind. Those are extra dollars you don't have to spend to go the same distance to work every day. That puts more money in your pocket. Now, that means at the end of the month, if you're doing the math correctly, you could say, I'm going to save the difference. I just filled up my gas tank the other day. I saved about $25 because it was like empty. Saved a lot. And it was a couple of vehicles we filled up. $25. You guys, if you do that, that's $100 a month if you do that once a week. So walk through what you can do with an extra $100 a month back in your pocket. And you're going to see this start to impact as everything impacts everything else, right? Okay, so work with me on this. Here's taking it one step further. With the invention of all of these cars that are getting 30, 40, 50, 60 miles to the gallon, or the Tesla type vehicles, right? Or the Leaf, the Nissan Leaf, zero gas station, which means zero gasoline tax. And because we're a state that spends all the money we bring in and then some, and we're funding weird projects and we're taking money and funding all sorts of crazy things in the state, what's going to happen when you used to put in $100 a week in gas and now you're driving a Tesla or a Nissan Leaf, or BMW has a car now that's all electric, and you don't do that anymore? Where do those dollars go? Does that mean gasoline tax on everybody else that's still driving a gas car has to pay? Does that mean that they change the structure so you pay an additional tax when you register your car if you drive an electric car? You see, Jeff was saying the world is connected. It is connected. Financially, you don't exist in a vacuum. As long as you're buying something or you're using something that everybody else can or does have access to, then it's all impacted. How does that impact your retirement? There are ways to save for your retirement, and using things like the recent decline in gasoline can really benefit you and your family for your retirement. When we come back, we'll get into that and a lot more. I'm Arif Halaby along with Jeff Gerard, and you're listening to Total Financial Solutions Save for Money Hour. Welcome to the show, Total Financial Solutions Save for Money Hour. Arif Halaby, Jeff Gerard, your place for news, talk, and information. Always a challenge working with Jeff. I just want you to know that.
I make it that way to keep you on your toes.
Okay, maybe it's me, but I knew it was one of us. Had a 50% chance of being right.
You're right. Well, you're good at math.
And since we're financial people, if you carry the one, you can be right at least half the time.
I like your math.
All right. How are you going to save for your retirement? Look, there are a couple of different ways. Payroll deductions are the most common. It didn't used to be that way. If you ask your parents or your grandparents, maybe depending on your age, of course, they used to have to save on purpose. They used to have to go out, investigate, save purposely every month, write a check or every year. Today, don't you worry your pretty little head. We'll take care of it, says the company or the government. We're going to pull from your paycheck directly. And then just wake up at age 64 and a half, just before you're ready to retire, make sure things are in the right spot, and you're good. You see, that's not real, is it? But it's what most people do, because they don't understand what they're saving or what they're investing in, or if they're saving enough for retirement, or why, or how much, or is it too much, or right? There's very little on purpose when it comes to retirement. But one of the very first on purpose things you can do is actually payroll deduction. Jeff, tell us a little bit about what payroll deduction is.
Payroll deduction simply means that you're going to work to your job, and your payroll department, instead of doing it the way Arif said, where you said you save on purpose, you get your paycheck, you take some money after you pay your taxes, and whatever you're left with, you set that aside. That's called a normal savings scenario. But payroll deduction means that, and this is very common when it comes to a 401k or a 403b or a TSA or deferred comp. You've heard us talk about these employer-sponsored plans. Basically, what's happening is your company says, okay, before we give you your paycheck, here, you earned $1,000 this week or this pay period, and before we hand you that money, you're going to take some of that money and put it off to the side in a savings vehicle. That could be a retirement account. Heck, it could even be a flexible spending account or an HSA or anything like that where you don't pay taxes on it. So just to kind of recap, you earn money before you pay tax on it. Your employer takes money, they deduct money from payroll, and they set it in a savings vehicle, in one of those ones that I just mentioned, and then they pay your taxes for you. They send a little bit off to the government, and then they give you the rest in the form of your net paycheck, meaning after tax.
Yeah, I always think, net and gross. It's gross to learn how much you make, and the net is what you catch after it goes through, a fishing net, right? Because you don't get everything. Some of it goes through the holes.
That's right.
That's what the difference between net and gross is. It's how I remembered it as a young person. If you're trying to save, payroll deduction is by far the most common way. The numbers, the 400, right? 401, 403. That's all where it's found in the IRS code. You just go to 401, subsection K. You work for a for-profit company. You can put money in a retirement account, not pay taxes until later when you pull it out. So do you see? That's all those are. There's nothing fancy. There's nothing crazy about it. It's just a very simple method of saving money outside of your personal savings. So this is what happens. Your company has an arrangement with an organization. It could be an insurance company. It could be a brokerage firm. It could be a bank system. And they arrange to say, we're going to take, once you get those dollars through the 401 system, 401k system, then we're going to take those monies and we're going to put them somewhere. Stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, we don't know. It's up to you. It's up to the employer sometimes. Then they take those dollars and they find a home for them. And those dollars, sometimes you do very well and sometimes you don't. Originally, there were about 700 or 800 or 900 different places that you could put that. Now, that's a lot of choices, right? A lot of choices. Today, there are tens of thousands, probably close to 25,000 places you can put it. It is no wonder people are confused between the various types of annuities out there and the sub-accounts, between the various mutual funds and the sub-accounts and the different class shares and, oh my goodness, all of that stuff. Check with your financial advisor. If you have one that is working with you, they should be able to help you decide where to put this account, right? A financial advisor, that's their job. Their job is to help make sure that what you're doing works to your benefit. Now, some companies contract with a large firm and say, okay, because we do our retirement account with them, employees, you can call, Joe Smith and he'll walk you through it, or Susie Smith and she'll walk you through it and meet with you, right? They should meet with you. If you're dealing with somebody who's not coming and meeting with you, then they probably don't care. Now, look, they care like they care, but after they hang up the phone call, 5 minutes later, they're taking another phone call from halfway around the country, and your problems aren't theirs. So realize that the conversation you have and the upfront, there's something that happens when they meet with you one-on-one, right? There's a different feeling that you get when you meet with somebody face-to-face than just over the phone. So you want to be able to meet with your financial person who helps you with your company retirement plan face-to-face, ask them questions, find out which ones work best for you, find out if all of your accounts are in the same type of product or not. Those are important things. Your payroll deduction plan should be a piece of your retirement strategy. And believe it or not, one of the ways that I have found that worked for me when I was working and I had an account and I was 18 or 19 years old, right? First time I tried this, I started doing this. When we come back, I'm going to give you those the tips that I use, the things that helped me and helps our clients when it comes to setting aside money for retirement. We come back on Total Financial Solutions Save for Money Hour. I'm Arif Halaby.